the very strange case of Tyrese Haliburton's Achilles injury. My view of that very strange case. And by the way, as I tape this, I'm still not exactly sure what the injury is to Tyrese Haliburton's Achilles, because Rick Carlisle was very evasive about it last night, very circumspect, saying that he didn't have any medical information at all on it. So I don't know if he ruptured it. Usually when sports stars rupture, or sports players of even college or pro, when they rupture their Achilles, when it just tears in two, snaps, they just immediately say he'll soon have surgery. Is it possible it's just torn, has just a tear in it that they think they could maybe work through without surgery? Is it possible it's just strained? I have no idea, because this was the one time, even when Kevin Durant tore his Achilles, they just immediately announced he tore his Achilles. Okay, as in ruptured. Now my view of everything that just transpired with Tyrese Haliburton's injuries, and what are my qualifications to have an opinion about those injuries? Well, you can disqualify me if you want, but if I hadn't become a sports commentator, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. I have several friends who are orthopedic surgeons. I'm friends with several longtime, highly respected trainers around pro sports, and I have worn them out picking their considerable brains about injured knees and injured shoulders and injured Achilles tendons. Now, I obviously did not play in the NBA, but I did run 10 marathons at a fairly high level. My PR was 2 hours, 47 minutes, and 14 seconds, which averaged 6 minutes and 22 seconds a mile. If you know anything about marathons, that's pretty fast. So I put my body through all that training and all that anguish because here's the truth. I honestly wanted to hurt it and then learn to heal it, because I knew I'd be hurt. Because if you run marathons, if you train for marathons, I was running at one point 120 miles a week. You are just going. It's not if, it's when you're going to get hurt. I've had every injury known to man and figured out how to work through them. I did wind up having 3 knee surgeries from my running, 3 arthroscopic surgeries, scopes as they call them, to fix medial meniscus tears. I think I might need another one as we speak. But thank God I never ruptured my Achilles, though I did rupture my biceps tendon here. That was lifting weights. It's sort of the Achilles of your arm, same concept. You rupture it at its elbow attachment, and I did. You can also rupture it up here in your shoulder. But if it ruptures at the elbow, it rolls right up like a window shade up towards your shoulder. And through my marathon days, I did suffer all sorts of Achilles tendonitis from doing too much hill work. When you extend backward on your Achilles, you extend it to its full extent. Gets to be a mess. My Achilles would swell up like telephone poles, which required a whole lot of icing, a whole lot of deep tissue massage, a whole lot of heel lifts in my running shoes to try to boost up that Achilles tendon and try to reduce some of the tendonitis in it. My orthopedic friends would warn me again and again that I probably had 1,000 what they call tiny micro tears in both my Achilles, and that I should be very careful playing basketball, which I still play to this day, because one wrong push off and either of my Achilles could, boom, go. But over time, as I witnessed more and more Achilles tears in pro and college basketball and football, I realized it's just the most mysterious injury in all of sports, inexplicably mysterious. And it's also the hardest to come back from, because it takes so long to grow back strongly enough, especially if it ruptures where you suture the 2 ends together. It takes so long to grow back strongly enough so that you don't risk re-tearing it. But man, in all my years of covering football, I watched so many quarterbacks tear their Achilles just doing next to nothing. It's rarely a contact injury. Dan Marino, Randall Cunningham, then the Bears quarterback that I covered in Chicago, Jim Miller, they were just sort of jogging, just barely running, not even involved in the play when it just happened. Boom, like you got shot in the back of the calf. And suddenly you just can't walk because you can't control your foot anymore. So many Achilles injuries in basketball. Dominique, obviously, late great Kobe, Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard. There were two younger Pacers this year. James Wiseman was one, tore their Achilles. And never in basketball did I ever see anybody tear their Achilles while they were falling out of control into dangerous situations when their Achilles tore. Nope, they were just pushing off the way they'd done several million times, maybe billion times since they were little kids. Just a routine move and snap. Had their Achilles been weakened by micro tears they weren't aware of? Maybe. Nobody really knows for sure. Were they just born with a weak Achilles? Yeah, you can be. It's like the greatest Greek warrior ever. Achilles was his name. His mother held him by his left heel as she dipped him in the river Styx as an infant, leaving only that heel vulnerable, the Achilles heel. And he eventually died by arrow to heel, or so says Greek mythology. From what I've been told, I haven't ruptured mine, but I don't think an Achilles rupture is all that hugely painful. It's just emotionally devastating because you immediately know you are done, and you are done for a long, long time. My biceps tendon rupture didn't hurt me at all. I just kept, the same weightlifting session, I just kept going on trying to lift weights, but I just knew right away I could no longer use my left arm, and especially my left hand the way I had before. I'd felt that strange zing shoot up my arm when my weightlifting partner at the time, this is back in my ESPN days in Bristol, Connecticut, my partner didn't reverse spot me as he was supposed to on a hammer strength back pull down machine. And I tried to hang on for dear life as it went back up, as I failed because there were 8 45-pound plates yanking me up toward the ceiling, and I feared the entire machine would break loose and just fall over. To use one of my favorite Oklahoma words, tump over. Just zing, it happened. I went on for a couple of weeks undiagnosed, no pain at all. So at this moment, obviously, I don't know exactly what was going on inside Tyrese Haliburton's lower right leg. They first announced after game 5 that he had some sort of calf strain. The Achilles tendon is the connective tissue that joins the 3 calf muscles to the heel bone. So there's the gastroc, there's the soleus, and there's the plantaris. Those are the 3 calf muscles that all connect into the Achilles tendon. So back in my hardcore running days, I had quite a bit of trouble with my gastroc. It's the bigger of the 3. And it would grab, or it would spasm like a fist. I don't know, probably micro-tore. All I know is when it went while I was out on a long training run, I was flat out D-O-N-E done. At that moment, done. Couldn't run another step no matter how hard I tried to gut it out. And by the way, I once ran the entire New York Marathon with an inflamed IT band, iliotibial band. It's from the hip, attaches across the knee. My knee was just on fire, where that band was so inflamed. It altered my gait. It ruined my time. It was just prolonged, ongoing, dull pain, but I was able to gut through it because you can. 26.2 miles is a long way to gut through IT band pain, but I did it because I was there and I wanted to finish, and I did finish. But a pulled calf muscle or a pulled hamstring, trust me, you are just done. No amount of intestinal fortitude or high pain threshold can overcome that pain. It's shutdown pain. It took several weeks for me to heal a calf pull with ice and all kinds of deep tissue massage. And I had some success in those days with acupuncture on those muscle tears or spasms. So it was last season. Remember this? Luka pulled a calf muscle. That was on Christmas Day. Luka missed the next 22 games with a calf pull. 22 games. That was from Christmas Day until mid-February after he'd been traded, of course, to the Lakers. Remember, he couldn't play for a while. Then there was Kevin Durant back in the 2019 finals. He had missed 9 games with a pulled calf, about a month, before he tried to come back for game 5 of those finals, probably pushing it a little prematurely. Routine push off. Achilles went. So no doubt an injured calf can affect the Achilles tendon. Maybe the calf atrophies some. It just sort of shrinks from lack of use. It just weakens. And it puts some added stress or strain on the Achilles. No doubt that can happen. Okay. Quick sip of dew, breakfast of champions. Now back to Tyrese Haliburton. A fairly routine push-off early in game 5 of these finals sent him to the floor in pain. Remember that? But after a quick trip to the locker room, he soon returned to play a total of 34 minutes in that game. Not once did he appear to limp or grimace. Not once. He appeared to be moving, cutting, and jumping just fine. Now, he didn't make a single field goal in that game, scored only 4 points, 4 free throws. But remember, Tyrese Haliburton, as I've detailed on this show twice, has had a lengthy history of these inexplicable no-show games every, 8 or 10 games. He just inexplicably doesn't show up. Just he'll score 2 or 4 or 6 points. So did he tweak a calf muscle and then just decide in the locker room, it's actually just fine? Maybe. But to me, there is no way that he pulled or even strained a calf muscle because you just could not return to play on that. See Luka 22 games, see Kevin Durant 9 games. And maybe there's some new breakthrough technique that I'm not aware of, but I'm pretty sure it's very difficult to mask pulled muscle pain with a pain-killing injection. This isn't joint pain, tendonitis pain, shoulder, or knee pain. This is a pulled or a torn muscle that an injection can't really mask. Maybe they try it, you might as well try it, but in my experience, it doesn't really help a muscle tear, muscle pull to shoot it with some kind of painkiller. So the Pacers made a big deal of how hurt Haliburton was in game 5, even though not for 1 second did he look hurt. And I thought maybe they were just trying to take some pressure off him by giving him a very credible excuse if he needed it going into 6 or maybe 7, or that maybe they were just trying to play games with the Thunder, little gamesmanship, make the Thunder wonder whether Haliburton was going to play or how limited he'd be if he did play. And he did play in game 6. And I got to tell you, to me, never once looked limited. Game 6, he scored 14 points. He had 5 assists and he had 2 steals. It's hard to steal the basketball if you can't move. You wouldn't even be trying. You just, on defense, you just be trying to avoid any movement. And by the way, in game 6, Tyrese Haliburton was a game high, game best plus 25 and plus minus in 23 minutes. Plus 25 was his team. And that was, of course, a blowout victory. which did force Game 7 back in OKC. So every story I read referred to how Haliburton played through injury. Every single story. He played through injury in Game 6, played through injury in both Games 5 and 6, as if that were an unquestionable fact, which drove me pretty crazy. And not because I'm born and raised in Oklahoma City and that I am a Thunder fan, have been the last 2 years, but because I came up in this business as a journalist. Early on in my career out here in LA at the LA Times, I wrote and researched investigative stories as a journalist. And as a journalist, I kept saying to myself as I read these stories, how can you just accept without question that Pacers coach Rick Carlisle says Haliburton is hurt? What did your eye test tell you watching Games 5 and 6? What did it tell you? That Haliburton didn't look hurt at all, not in the slightest looked hurt at all. Yes, when he was taken out of those games to rest, he did put ice on his lower right leg, on his calf area. That's when he went to the bench. And he did detail for the media everything the staff was trying to do to heal his whatever injured calf it was, including stents in the hyperbaric chamber, which a lot of athletes have used dating back to, remember, Terrell Owens trying to get ready to play the Super Bowl against the Patriots, hyperbaric chamber. Yet, Haliburton did not limp or even seem to favor his right leg at all in those 2 games. So let's see. Luka missed 22 games. KD rushed back after 9 games. And Haliburton missed no games after injuring his calf? Really? Wow. Miraculous. I'm sorry. I don't get it because I couldn't see it. Even the great David Aldridge writing for The Athletic. I love David Aldridge. I read everything he ever writes. Listen to everything he ever said, it seemed like, back in TNT days and network days. The great David Aldridge wrote that Tyrese Haliburton Willis Reeded it in Game 6. He Willis Reeded it. What? David. Willis Reed tore a thigh muscle in Game 5. This was the 1970 NBA Finals. He missed all of Game 6. And when it went to Game 7, he limped through warm-ups, and he was badly limping after he did reportedly try a pain-killing injection. I mean, Willis Reed, you can YouTube it. He could just barely move. Talk about limping. He played only to give his Knicks an early emotional lift, and did he ever? He did hit his first 2 quote-unquote jump shots, just kind of feet on the floor shots, hit them both. That inspired the Knicks to win the first quarter 38-24, and that Game 7 113-99. I'm sorry, Tyrese Haliburton did not Willis Reed it. But Hallie sure looked in perfect health to start Sunday night's Game 7, didn't he? Moving and grooving. He made his first 3 threes from way, way downtown. And at that point, as an angry and scared Thunder fan, I sarcastically tweeted that, man, Haliburton looks really hurt, doesn't he? Because he really, really did not look hurt at all. And then, when I least expected it, it happened. Haliburton pushed off fairly routinely, dribbled to his left, as he had the first time he had hurt his calf. But this time, his right leg did not look right as he went down. This time you could see what looked like, to me, just at a glance, it looked like the Achilles snapping and rolling up his calf. I thought I could see that on the replays. This time I tweeted, he looks hurt, seriously hurt. I held off speculating that it was Haliburton's Achilles until they announced on ABC ESPN that his father said it was an Achilles injury, but didn't specify exactly how and how badly it was hurt. Okay, so did Tyrese Haliburton rush back with a weakened calf muscle, a la Kevin Durant? Did that make the Achilles more vulnerable? Well, his calf muscles, the three of them, couldn't have atrophied because Haliburton didn't miss a single game. It's not like he wasn't moving around at all. It wasn't like he was shut down. He wasn't shut down at all. So was his Achilles already sore and they just called it a calf strain instead of the more ominous sounding Achilles tendonitis? Maybe it was Achilles all along. Was his minor inflammation of his Achilles tendon like a red light warning of a ticking time bomb in his Achilles tendon? Maybe. But with the Achilles, again, you just never know. It's possible Haliburton's Achilles tear was completely unrelated to any calf strain that he'd suffered. This is the most mysterious injury in all of sports. And this was just yet another very bizarre example of that mystery. Now to the ultimate question facing the Thunder today, tomorrow, the next day. Would the Pacers have won if Haliburton had been able to play the whole game? I doubt it, but I'm not objective. We'll never know. As I said in my post-game video, right after Game 7 was completed, championship won, the last thing I wanted to see was Tyrese Haliburton lost to an Achilles tear or whatever in the first quarter. I hated it for him. I hated it for his family. I hated it for his team. I hated it for the competitive balance of Game 7. I hated it for the Thunder, who had an even harder time refocusing after the injury than the Pacers did. I mean, the air went right out of that building, Paycom Center, OKC. The air went completely out of that game. The Thunder trailed at halftime. The Thunder could not get back into any rhythm. The Sun took until mid-third quarter. Finally, the Thunder just snapped out of it and said, okay, let's just do this now. And they played Thunder basketball. But you know what happened. Now the rest of the league can say what they've been saying all year. Told you so. Told you the Thunder were overrated. If Hallie doesn't get hurt, the Pacers are NBA champs. That's what everybody's saying today. And I can't stop it. I can't defend it. Maybe they're right. But Tyrese Haliburton sure didn't look hurt in Game 5 or Game 6 or early in Game 7. Very, very strange.